Now, thousands of people in Los Angeles were displaced by last month's wildfires. Many of them have turned to the platform GoFundMe as they try to rebuild their lives. GoFundMe is a crowdfunding website that allows people to raise money for various causes. The platform says it's raised more than $250 million for victims of the LA fires so far, $250 million. Tim Cadogan is with us now. He is the CEO of GoFundMe, $250 million. Incredible. And I have to say, as I've learned, the wildfires were personal for you. You had to run for your life with your family, and yet you also had to manage this unprecedented donor surge on your platform. I'm really interested to hear about the lessons learned from the last few weeks.
Yeah, well, Paula, thank you very much for having me. Yes, you're right. The town that I've lived in for 20 years was severely impacted in Altadena, and of course the Palisades as well. And I lived very close to the ignition point. So yes, our company does what it does in these moments, which is we're there to help people help each other. And we're there now as we started seeing fundraisers created, often by relatives or friends of those who were displaced and lost their homes, and that grew to over 10,000 fundraisers for families and some small businesses. We've been able to help those fundraisers generate, as you mentioned, $250 million, actually more now. That really helps people get on their feet as they start to plan out the recovery path ahead for them.
In terms of going back, though, to the lessons learned, given you were going through this in real time yourself, do you have a different perspective on your own platform now?
I do. I'd already worked on approaching 100 crises since I've been CEO, which has been 5 years, but to live through it so directly as a victim gave me a real education into the level of stress that you experience when you're going through something like this, and has driven me and therefore the team to think even harder about how do we make it easier and feel more comfortable for people to ask for help in these situations when there's so much load and burden on you. And it's already quite hard to ask for help. Most of us find that difficult, and to do that in a situation of such duress is very challenging. And so we're sort of redoubling our efforts both in the product, and we've introduced a lot of features to help with that through AI, but also in the way that we approach the service, just to really give people that helping hand and help them through situations like this.
And that is certainly a very important part of the equation. I want to go to the other side, though, as well. Some people are reluctant to give even if they really want to. Some wonder if that isn't the role of more formal charities or even the government. I mean, we had heard that some people receiving GoFundMe money actually were disqualified from getting FEMA government assistance during the wildfires. I mean, again, what have been the lessons learned through all of that?
Yeah, well, there's a few things to unpack right there, Paula. First thing is that your support that you're getting from GoFundMe is support from your friends and family. And that's a really important supplement to what you're receiving from the government, of course, from your insurance company if you're insured. You know, a good number of people are not sufficiently insured. And it's also a supplement to what charities are providing on the ground. And we actually, through our software business, we supported a lot of the primary charities. World Central Kitchen, for example, is a major customer. Direct Relief, which provides supplies, Pasadena Humane Society, housing people's animals. So we support all of those organizations, as well as providing the fundraising for individual families. And then with regard to your point about FEMA, it's actually it's a little bit of an urban myth. In fact, the GoFundMe funds are for you to use in whatever way you need. And as long as you're not duplicating what FEMA or insurance is helping you with, you're good to go. So that's really how that works. It complements the support that you're getting from the government, insurance companies, and other organizations. And it also really allows people to show their care and love for you. I had a customer from the Palisades who lost both his home and his church, and he told me a couple of weeks ago that my GoFundMe represents an unfathomable amount of love for me and my spouse, and that really speaks to the power of what we do alongside those other major institutional mechanisms.
It is such a good point you make, right? Because it's not just a dollar donation. It is people that are not forced to give to you, but are giving to you personally. Yes. Because they know that you're going through a hard time. I do want to ask you again, though, that again, to try and get through that reluctance that people have, there have been incidents where people have been on GoFundMe, and unfortunately it's turned out to be fraud. I understand a lot of these incidents are isolated, and yet how do you mitigate for those? What have you learned in the last few years about really
Yes.
trying to make it absolutely solid?
Yes, well, we are, I want to stress the vast majority of fundraisers are good people asking for good causes. There are always a few who are trying to work around the system, as they are with any system in our world. And so we have 15 years of experience and over $30 billion raised. So our investment in trust and safety, the teams, the technology, the data we draw on from having those $30 billion raised, we use all of that to identify any misuse that's occurring and to take those fundraisers down and refund the users. And to back all of that up, we have something that only we offer in the industry, which is the GoFundMe Global Giving Guarantee, which means that any donation of any amount in any of our 20 countries for up to a year after donating is fully covered should there be a problem down the line. Now, fortunately, because of all those systems I mentioned, that refund policy is invoked incredibly rarely. But we work really hard to make sure that we're earning the trust of folks, and we'll continue to work to make sure that everybody feels comfortable both asking for help and giving help on the platform over time.
Tim Cadogan, I've learned a lot about your platform just in a few short minutes, and we certainly hope that it continues to bring a lot of resilience to the people who need it most in disasters. Thanks so much.
Thank you. We're going to need it. Thank you.